Today we're doing a commander guide on Eowyn, who honestly might just be overpowered. Stick around for how and why I think you can break this commander. Hello my friends and welcome back. I'm Chisgule Gaming, and today we're breaking down Eowyn. And the reason that I feel like she is one of the stronger tier 1 commanders that is available in the game is because she not only gives you a lot of options for her talents, but she also lets you really focus in on mounted units. If they're riding something, be it a ram or a horse, they will benefit by being with Eowyn if you choose to specialize her that way. Now, before we get into the talents, I do want to mention that she is a balanced commander, which means that when she hits level 20, you will get a boost to might, focus, speed, and you get a couple skill points, which is pretty solid. But the thing you're all here for is, Chisgule, where do I put my points? And the thing that's so amazing about Eowyn is that she has two very viable builds, in my opinion. Those two builds are going to be a cavalry-focused or a mounted unit-focused build, and also a damage-focused build where Eowyn does lots of damage. But let's start with the mounted unit build, because I think this is what is so strong with Eowyn, because you're generally, with things in this game and in many other games, getting a disproportionate benefit when you take something that has a limitation. And all of the things in this game that boost cavalry or mounted unit effectiveness are limited, right? They are only influencing cavalry, but they give you a disproportionately good boost. So let's talk about that. Rohirrim is an ability that gives mounted units bonus damage after you have inflicted damage, and you get stacks of this, up to 3 stacks, and it's modified by speed. So there's a lot that I really like about this. First of all, it scales up, and it's going to scale up with speed, and you'll see why I like that in a bit. But second of all, you're going to get a lot of stacks of this, so over the course of a longer fight, you are going to be doing a lot of extra damage. You get some extra might at the top when you max this thing out. The skills that are available underneath it are also amazing. Reducing the damage you take by 14% when you have maxed out Riding Excellence for 7 points is amazing. If you saw my Gimli guide, I talked about how 15 points for 15% damage reduction to all my units was pretty good, right? Well, you're going to bring all mounted units if you take this approach with Eowyn, and for 7 points, you're getting some pretty serious value. From there is one other spot here, Cleave, where, like, yeah, you'll put your points here. It doesn't really care about mounted units, but it is modified by speed stat. Now, Cleave on round 2 is going to pick one enemy target, and you're going to deal some physical damage, and that gets boosted by, again, speed stat. So what I like about this is that not only does Rohirrim get boosted by speed stat, but also Cleave gets boosted by speed stat. Funny thing, by the way, I played a lot of World of Warcraft, and Cleave normally refers to hitting more than one enemy. This is a one enemy target, and I do see one enemy is in green, so maybe if you put more points in this, it goes up to multiple enemy targets, which would be insane, by the way. Absolutely insane. So a lot of potential in this bottom tree. Now, if you are going with a full cavalry build, as I would recommend that you do with this commander, then I would recommend that you have to get to loyalty level 5, because that is where the other mounted unit stuff is. Okay, so at loyalty level 5, you get all mounted units recover hit points every single round. Yes, recovering health every round, it's nice. And your mounted units gain stun immunity. Okay, not stun immunity for some part of the battle, but for the whole duration. That is definitely solid, and there's more. If you have overlap of mounted units and men, my goodness, with this commander, man, you put 7 points in nobility, that should be 21% more damage for all your units if you go with all men. Wow. I mean, it feels like that is exactly what Eowyn is meant to do. It's not that you can't do other things. It's that this seems like so obviously a cavalry, or I guess a mounted unit army that you could make. It just seems very, very powerful. And up top, in round 3, allied melee units recover some amount of health. Okay, so You can have a heal here, which is, I think, fine. I mean, the amount of heal you're getting is pretty solid, and that's because it's coming on round 3. All in all, I think that this would be a very solid cavalry build. Who should do this? I think that if you're Gondor, it seems like an obvious choice because you have a special unit that is mounted. Also, I think if you are Rohan, right, I think that you should obviously do this because you have a special unit that is mounted, and you might have a army that has only 2 unit types in it instead of typically you'd do 3. But you do all mounted units, and that means every one of your units is taking 14% less damage, deals 21% more damage if you have all men, right? Like, it feels very overpowered to me. But I will say that the other build you can do with Eowyn, which comes at loyalty levels, 0 through 2, and also you unlock the rest of it at loyalty level 3, is going to be good for taking tiles. It's just going to be a good generalist build. You don't have to have any mounted units at all. So let's talk about that. Shield Maiden is going to make it so that your melee units have a chance of reducing physical damage received, and it boosts your focus. I don't love this, right? Like, I get that she's a balanced commander, a little bit of focus, a little bit of might, but I like that with this other build, you could just go all in on speed stat and a little bit of might to round it out, But with this build, okay, so you've got a chance of reducing the damage you receive, you boost your focus, and Vital Attacks makes it so that against one enemy, you deal physical damage and have a chance of dealing additional physical damage if you get lucky, which is solid. Also, Defensive Stance makes it so that you deal physical damage and one allied melee unit will receive less damage on the next round, modified by might. Now, you can see why I was confused. Like, why is this giving me focus when over here I have an ability modified by might? I don't get it. If you're using this ability, you would want to be stacking might on her. But let's look at the loyalty level 3 options here, because these are important. Right here, you have a boost to Eowyn's damage. Now, I find it interesting that they don't just say commander damage dealt. Usually they say commander damage dealt. What they're saying here is Eowyn damage dealt. So I'm not sure what that difference is between the two. They also sometimes use the language like all allied units. They sometimes say they say a bunch of different things here. But okay. So Eowyn is boosting her damage dealt. So you can see, by the way, why these two trees combined together make sense. Because everything up here is all about like dealing some damage, right? And this makes it so that you are boosting Eowyn's damage. Also, your normal attack damage goes up by 20%, which is a pretty sizable chunk when you max level this. I mean, that's pretty solid. And in addition, you can get Cripple, yet another ability that does damage, and it reduces the speed of the enemy. In addition, you can get Giant Slayer. So if you're taking tiles that are typically guarded by large units, which was my experience, taking high-level tiles, could have been where I was on the map, but I'm pretty sure it's the case for everybody. If you're using a good hero, then I can definitely recommend you can drop points into Giant Slayer as sort of the icing on the cake for Eowyn. See, it says Commander, right? See, here it says Commander, and here it says Eowyn. That's definitely a little bit confusing as to what they're trying to differentiate between there. And if you know what that difference is, not guessing, but leave a comment down below, and I'd be interested to see that. So the two builds, again, are the Shield Maiden and Durnhelm. Is that how you pronounce this? Those two together for a skill damage build versus a mounted unit build where you take Rohirrim and you also take the White Lady of Rohan and the associated points over here. And obviously, you can splash some points in a couple other places, but there was no ability kind of off to the side that I thought was like so good that you really would go out of your way to get it. I suppose if you're doing the skill damage build, it would be worth dropping, maybe if you're using mounted units, 2 points into Rohirrim and then 1 point into Cleave. That could be worthwhile. But it is because of these very, very clear, very powerful builds that I feel like Eowyn is one of the more overpowered tier 1 commanders. And you may be wondering, Chisgule, then why haven't you unlocked her? And that is because, unfortunately, as you saw in my Faramir guide, card up in the top, if you want to check out that video, at the end of this one, you just tap the little info button. And by the way, if you're getting value from this video, consider throwing a like on here and subscribing to the channel for Lord of the Rings Rise to War videos that help you kick ass, right? But if we just get a look here, Superior Horse Armor is used on Faramir and it's used on Haldir. And the problem with that is that I started the game by being given Faramir. And Eowyn's 800 respect to unlock just felt so far away that I put the items into Faramir to advance him because he's a tipper, man, and tippers suck. So I had to get a second branch of talents that was halfway decent, that wasn't tipping, right? So I had to take my Faramir up rather than invest in Eowyn. Now, I could go back and unlock her at this point, and I probably will do that. I'll play around with that a little bit. I mean, if I'm going to play this game, I've been saying this a bunch, but like my game plan for a long-term entry into this game is going to be to restart with a very large group, like 300 plus people, and we're just going to be absolute freaking monsters. That would be the goal, right? But if I were playing longer term, I would definitely be investing in Eowyn. I think that would be a great investment. And if you were rolling Gondor or you were rolling with freaking Rohan, man, that just seems so powerful. So powerful to go all in on the cavalry mounted unit build. And I will say one last thing. Obviously, the equipment you're going to want will be to stack speed. If you go with Eowyn and you're going with the recommended build here, speed and might will be the play. That would be very focus. There was nothing in here that really scaled up with focus, except, I mean, like you take less damage when you have more focus. So I wouldn't put focus equipment on her. And if you just wanted to see, like, just go, what are some examples of equipment that are like solid for speed? If I just get a look through some of the things that I have and like, what would I equip onto Eowyn right now if I had the opportunity? I mean, I would be looking for something like this cutlass is actually pretty good. Might, speed. That's like exactly where you want to be. Ignoring the defense of the target seems perfectly fine. I'm sure there's another modifier there that might be really solid, but you don't want to miss out on speed on every single piece of gear. Here's might and speed with deftness, commander speed. Now that's commander speed, not army. I wonder if you boost the commander speed, does that also boost the army? I bet you it does. I bet you that is going to boost the army speed in battle, so that's probably fine. And then if we go over here for helmets, again, I only have so many options, but the brutal helmet I have found to be really great. Might, speed. That's kind of where you want to be, right? I don't have a ton of other options here. Here's might, speed. Ooh, defensive mounted units. Like that would be a great piece. Okay. Also, immunity to madness. No, I'm not really interested in that. Here's a decent piece if you're going with the blue, right? Army speed melee is decent, right? It scales. They scale with speed. And then lastly, I mean, the accessory, I have so few options here that it's hard to know what even all is out there. I probably would pick, unfortunately, it might be one of these violins. Ugh, I don't love it. I don't love it. There must be better accessories out there. I'd be eager to know what they are. I mean, you want speed, you want might. That's what you would want. If you found this guide helpful, throw a like on here and consider subscribing. It's your interest in the game that kind of fuels my fire for making these videos. So if you are enjoying the videos, subscribe, tell a friend that hey, like you're looking for guidance, check this one out. And if you want to make a recommendation for what video to see next, let me know. I'm on a bit of a commander guide spree right now, so I'm going to jam through a lot of these. But I'm definitely open to other ideas. And until next time, you have fun smashing your enemies.